So, 4 counts of drop spins. A palm flip. Then you go flat. Then you bring it around behind. Grab it with your other hand. Up and around with the other hand. Now grab the other hand and pose like that. Yeah, sure?
Do you ever write or say something that makes complete sense to you, but to someone else it doesn't? Today's Family History Writer's Advice question comes from Roma, asking, my biggest problem is clarity. What's in my head does not always come onto paper. How do I change that? Today, let's discover ways to write with more clarity. Howdy, I'm Devin Noel Lee, a published family historian who wants you to learn how to quickly write non-boring family histories to share your legacy with your loved ones. Let's go back to the gibberish my daughter told me. The instructions she gave me are the opening sequence to the color guard routine for the Los Alamos High School fight song routine, if you're on the color guard line. As a former college color guard captain, some of the terminology makes sense to me, but each squad has different terms for similar moves. Thus, I would still need a little help knowing what the terms mean.
What is a palm flip?
Palm flip is flag around, but with one hand.
If you write a story and use terms that only people within a certain group would understand, then take a moment to revise that terminology. Have you ever had an argument with someone only discover that you're arguing over different definitions of a term? In family history writing, we want to ensure that we are using words that others would understand. Otherwise, we need to define those terms. Hopefully, this experience will provide more clarity. Canadian relatives have written some small stories about our common ancestors. One of my favorite discusses how a Zumstein girl was traveling to assist her sister's upcoming confinement and delivery of that sister's baby. The Zumstein girl traveled by train, arrived at the station, and waited for her relatives to pick her up. Apparently, she waited a long time without a way to contact her family to find out the reason for their delay. A neighbor who happened to be at the station discovered the young lady's dilemma and offered her a ride. They got into a bobsled and went over the mountain to the Zumstein farm in Elko, Ontario, Canada. This story seems straightforward. So what terms need defining? The first term is mountain. When I think of a mountain, I think of the Rockies or the Adirondacks. For people who have traveled on the escarpment between the two Great Lakes, you might know the mountain of which people spoke. When I visited Ontario, I didn't see a mountain. I saw a hill. The next term is bobsled. Whenever I hear about a bobsled, particularly since I grew up in Texas, these are things people use in the Olympics. I particularly am a fan of the Jamaican bobsled team. However, I don't think my neighbor was using one of those to transport this Zumstein relative down a sled track to the Zumstein farm. So, make sure you define your terms. Now, if you're fairly certain that you're explaining terms others might not understand, then you have to ask whether you're speaking clearly. For instance, when I say that I am a one-way American Sign Language communicator, what does that mean? Well, I can sign American Sign Language, but I can't read it. Wait, what? How does someone read sign language? In my mind, it makes sense. But to someone else, it might cause them to be confused and say, can you explain that to me? Why, of course. I'm glad you asked. To me, reading signs is understanding what the person is signing to me when they are using their hands. Thus, I'm visually reading their hand gestures. My son is on a mission in Chile and fully immersed in Spanish. He explains this because he can speak Spanish to people and generally use correct words. However, since he's so new to the language, he struggles to understand people who are speaking Spanish to him. Now, does that make sense? He has trouble hearing and understanding the language, but he can speak it to those in Chile. Of course, the next question someone asked is, how come you don't read sign language? Don't you learn both? And then I would need to proceed to explain to someone why I can sign to a deaf person, but I struggle to understand the signs they give back to me. But when I connect my experience to one someone else may have, like my son being in a foreign country, clarity occurs in my writing. Before we continue, if the first two principles make sense, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Then leave a comment or a question so I hear from you what resonates or is confusing. One final thing involves differentiating people in your reader's mind. For instance, make sure you check out my video about avoiding the pronoun game. If you're talking about three men and use he, and he in one paragraph, your reader will quickly lose track of who is whom. So review your stories for pronoun problems after watching the video that will be linked in the description box. Also, leverage multiple name identifiers for a person to make your story more interesting while increasing the clarity of your stories. We covered that topic in this video. While I have shared with you what to watch out for, namely explain jargon, define terms, clarify meaning, how will you know you're achieving these goals if your story makes sense only to you? There really is no substitute for sharing your story with someone else to increase the clarity of your writing. Grammar editors like my favorite Grammarly can't overcome the human eye to improve understanding because it's a syntax, not a context editor. So find someone who doesn't know your family intimately and ask them which portions of your stories don't make sense. They may highlight words or phrases that need clarification. They may also recommend rearranging portions of your story so that section flows better. You could ask a friend or a family member, find a writing group, or hire a beta reader. I also offer beta reading services, so reach out to me using my main website, familyhistoryfanatics.com. Just remember, you want someone who isn't super invested in the person you're writing about. They should care about helping you tell the story clearly. If you have other advice for Roma about being clearer with your writing, share their thoughts in the comments below. I know she'll be reading. But now it's time for you to go write those stories. Off you go. You're still here. Awesome. Remember to click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Then go watch this video that will help you improve your stories.